Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Noah and we are in a bit of a different setup than we usually are. This is my living room, not my office. I wanted to do something a little bit different, a little bit more creative than what I normally do. So I'm just here on my couch making my video for today. If you are someone that kind of looks out for my videos, I don't know if there's really many of you that actually do. I do apologize for not posting in quite some time. I was posting pretty frequently for a little bit there, stuff in the yard, stuff in the house, but a lot of things have happened. A lot of things have transpired, a lot of stuff going on, so I just haven't had the time to set up the camera, get in front of the camera, come up with ideas to talk about and edit and stuff like that. But in the next few weeks here, I'm going on a trip in about 2 weeks, and I'll be gone for a couple weeks. And then when I get back, I'm gonna ideally probably have about 4 or 5 terabytes of really cool footage that I'm hoping to edit and share with all of you. So, if you are kind of still checking up on the channel, that's something that would be cool to look forward to. But for this video, I want to kind of talk about some things that kind of came to my mind recently in regards to even more of the AI hype that's kind of moving through doing its rounds through social media. My opinions on the all of the AI stuff actually tend to change quite a bit because it's moving so fast, right? You can formulate an opinion one day and then 2 weeks later you read a new article or some new discovery that's been made or some new thing that it can do, and then it can kind of change your opinion of what you had on it before. And that's kind of what's happened to me. So in this video, as the title suggests, I do want to share a few of my thoughts as to what I believe the future might look like, for many good positions, good jobs here in the United States. So without wasting any time, I want to just kind of share my thoughts, right? I want to share my initial opinion, and I'm going to provide some rationale for it after that. So what I believe after seeing, different things that these AI tools are really capable of doing and using them actually in my own work and formulating some opinions that way, what I believe the future is going to kind of look like is that there is going to be, a huge competitive race, basically, this huge competition over mid-level positions in the United States. And it is going to be, I think, to be honest with you, it's going to be quite brutal for many, many individuals. Now, what do I mean by mid-level positions, right? And the positions that I'm kind of referring to here are, you're making anywhere in the range right now in 2025 from like 80,000 to maybe a little bit over 100,000, 110, 120, maybe even into like the $130,000 dollars per year salary range. And the reason I feel like this group, right, this kind of category of jobs, analysts perhaps, writing, people that do technical writing, VFX, those type of, business and into the creative side, you are pretty solid jobs, right? As of right now, if you're if you're above $100,000 annually, that's pretty solid, right? Can you do basically everything and anything? No, not necessarily, but you can do a lot, right? Especially if your partner is in that range too. But what I fear is going to happen is that these jobs, these kind of mid-level positions, I think are going to be relatively replaceable, with a lot of these tools that make their way into the mainstream. And of course, I think this is going to be a really big problem because how many people in the United States and in the world are actually chasing those mid-level jobs, right? They know they're not going to be an MD, they're not going to be doing surgeries, and they're not going to be an SVP of a company or anything like that. So a lot of people, millions and millions of people, are chasing these mid-level jobs. But if these mid-level positions become few and far between, where does everybody really go, right? What do we do, when this time comes? And that's really kind of what the heart of this video is about. Is I was kind of thinking on it on my own to try to come up with an idea of, what that might look like, because truly these tools can do the work of a team of five, depending on the task, of course. But if you're speaking, I previously mentioned just writing, for example, these tools can write and write and write. Well, they're not actually writing, but they're altering formats, and they're changing verbiage and everything. They can do the work of 5 people, of 10 people, even, for that matter. And of course, when these tools are, really, really developed, and to be honest, right now, they are extremely useful even at this point, and this is kind of the worst they're ever going to really be. Once these make it, like I said, into the mainstream, I don't think there's not going to be anything that's going to stop large companies, public companies, and even private companies from pursuing a subscription-based approach rather than having 10 people on staff. And the simple reason is because when you have employees and you have to pay for their benefits, and then you have, retirement matching, and then you have an HSA account, and then you have salaries and bonuses and raises, it's a lot, right? Financially, it costs a lot of money to actually have employees and compensate them well, which makes sense, right? But like I said, I fear that at the end of the day, businesses are there to make money, right? They're not there. I think the overall idea is to say, we're making lives better, and et cetera, et cetera, and that could very well be true. But at the end of the day, especially public companies, their mission is to just keep increasing profits on a year-to-year basis at basically whatever means necessary, right? Because they have a lot of people to appease. And I think a lot of these mid-level positions are at risk, as are lower level positions too, such as farm work and other checkout, cashier type of things. A lot of these positions have actually already gone kind of to the tech side, with having 1 or 2 people just supervise them whenever there's a glitch or an error or anything like that. But previously, if you think about grocery stores, for example, if there were 10 lanes, you needed 10 people there. Now, when you go to Walmart, or when I go to, the grocery store, there's, self-checkout, for example, there's 8 self-checkout stations and 1 person that oversees all of them in case there's an issue. Maybe 2 people if it's busy. This is kind of a perfect example of where this is kind of already happening. And I think those easier jobs are definitely going to be the first ones that are targeted. But like I previously mentioned, these mid-level positions are the most desirable, because you don't need any kind of advanced training to get in there. You just need to, work hard at a company, maybe do some certifications, some trainings, and just get experience. But if these positions are few and far between, where do people go, right? What do we do? What positions are going to be the ones that are desirable? Because at the end of the day, we, in this country, we are kind of defined, maybe not so much by our title nowadays, because we have all these different titles that can make money. But at the end of the day, it's the numbers are what matter. At the end of the day, we want a house. We want, to have a decent car. We want to go on trips. We want to have kids. We want to put these kids through sports and activities and show them different parts of the world. And unfortunately, a lot of this, all of this, I should say, costs money, and quite a bit of it at that. So if we move into this world, into the future, where we have tens of millions of people that are looking for these mid-level jobs, and you can't get into them, I'm just curious on where people are going to merge to try to make that money. We can't all be doctors, right? That's just not how things work. We can't all be the most elite level engineers, which are probably these are the individuals that are probably going to be fine, right? Because even when technology is introduced that can cut staff, we still need individuals to oversee these tools, right? So, I mean, that's a very small bucket of people, if I'm being quite honest. So, as I was kind of thinking on this, in the last couple of days, I thought, what could be something that we could do, right? What opinion does Noah have on the matter? And Some would say my opinion doesn't really matter, right, to a certain extent, but my advice to anybody out there that is, in their 20s or, whatever, 30s or whatever it is. And if you are in a relatively decent position right now, maybe you are in one of these mid-level positions, which is great. My advice, or if you're not quite in the mid-level position, or at least this mid-level income kind of bracket that I was kind of describing, is to put as much effort as you can with your schedule into trying to get to a high tier role at whatever company you're at. Doesn't matter what company it is, or getting into a company where you can then work up, because obviously there are certain exceptions with smaller local companies. You're not going to just like be the owner, right? So you're going to have to maybe move to a larger private company or even a public company and try to get to a position where you will be the one that is going to be overseeing these tools and so on, because I have no doubt in my mind, after really seeing basically on a weekly basis how many improvements are being made, how many ways that they're getting better, that these really are going to be the future. And I think these, like I said, these mid-level positions, these positions that the majority of the population are fighting for, because you can actually live a life with these roles, especially if both parties, both significant others are in them, I think are really going to dwindle. I think it's going to be, it's apparently right now, and it is mid-July 2025, the job market, getting into jobs, like good jobs, I'm talking like these mid-level jobs, is already absolute hell for new grads, even grads that have masters and stuff like that. I've heard of different stories online. People have their PhDs and they just cannot get a job anywhere. And that's I think that's a fault kind of the way that we think of school, where, if everybody's going to school, everybody's basically the same. So how do you, there's an inundation of people that are exactly the same. So how do you pick who's the best one, and, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of my take on, on AI tools making their way into the workforce as of, like I said, July 2025. And my advice definitely is to try to get up as high as you can and, say a prayer to whatever your God is, that when the tools start making their way in, you're still going to be safe. You're going to be the one that oversees them, and then you'll still be able to keep your job and keep your, keep your life going as is. But for everybody else, I have no idea, to be quite candid with you. Obviously, things don't happen overnight, but what I've noticed recently, in recent years, is that it does feel like technology, like our economic world, right? Jobs, technology, life just moves faster and faster every single year, right? There's a drastic difference between how I feel kind of about the job market, now compared to 2019, 2020, and so on. And who knows? This just might be the future, but only time is going to tell. But there you go. Those are a few of my couch thoughts on my some new opinions that I've come up with in recent weeks here, in regards to AI making its way into the world. But of course, as always, I like hearing from you guys too. If you have any other insights or opinions, maybe you agree with me or disagree with me, please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I would love to hear them. And of course, if you've stuck along this far in the video, I want to thank you so much for your time, and I hope to see you again sometime soon.